right, welcome everyone to our Ophthalmology Foundation question and answer session. We're very happy to have you here. Um, I'm going to go through kind of the agenda and do some introductions, and then we'll get to it. So we're going to introduce our panelists, have an introduction from our president, Jim Mazzo, and then get into some key items to know and questions that we've received prior to the session that were very popular that we want to make sure are covered. And then we'll get to your direct questions that come in through the chat today. So please use the chat to submit any questions you have or clarifications as they come up. Also, if you need to, you can use the closed captioning to add subtitles to your screen or to view the transcript on the side for better comprehension, as we all have different English accents and that can be helpful. So today with us, we have a lot of folks from the Ophthalmology Foundation. Firstly, we have our president, Jim Mazzo, and then I'm the executive director at the Ophthalmology Foundation. I'm based in the US, in California. We have Jody Hicks with us, our assistant director, who's also based in California. Our exams team, Nicola Quilter, the director, Rosie Hartley and Vicki Glossop, who work with her as the exams team, and then also Cordula Gabel Obermeyer, who is the executive for fellowships at the IOFF, who works very closely with the Ophthalmology Foundation on our fellowships program. So I would like to hand it over to our president, Jim Mazzo, to give a brief introduction of the Ophthalmology Foundation, who we are, and a little bit about our exams program.
Well, thanks, Christine. Thanks very much. And thanks everyone for joining us. I am honored to be the president of the Ophthalmology Foundation. I've been lucky to be in this industry for 47 years, so I really have led a lot of large and small companies and have had a multitude of opportunity across the globe to meet many of you, I hope, and some of your other colleagues, but it's really been a thrill to be in this industry. Let me provide some background on our foundation as an organization. David Pyatt, formerly the chairman and CEO of Allergan, Bruce Feisby, the founding CEO of the American Academy of Ophthalmology and past president of the International Council of Ophthalmology, and myself founded this in 2020. Seems like yesterday, but almost 5 years now. Our board is really composed of the leading ophthalmologists across every continent who really focus and care about training of young ophthalmologists, particularly in the low and middle income countries. We've also recruited the senior executives of all the major ophthalmic companies like Alcon, AbbVie, Zeiss, Bausch & Lomb, Thea, J&J, Harrow. And I would tell you in my 47 years, this is the most extensive board of directors that I've ever been associated with. So really you can see the commitment throughout the industry and our great practitioners. We have great teams of ophthalmic volunteers who support our program, who are led by volunteer ophthalmologists supported by our small but very mighty group that you will meet today. And they're just great people to work with, always with a smile, and there to help support you. We have four primary program areas: faculty development. Various online and in-person activities focus on helping teachers become better at teaching, not just clinical content, but how to be an effective educator for anyone in ophthalmic education. Fellowships, in particular with the International Ophthalmic Fellowship Foundation, also known as the IOFF, we offer almost 100 fellowships per year for young ophthalmologists from low resource areas. The majority are 3-month observationists. Some 6-month and 1-year opportunities are available as well. Fellows go to higher resource settings and commit to return home and share their experience and knowledge with their peers. And that's a very important element because we need them to share what they've learned. Cordula, who administers the program, will speak later to explain the link with the exams and be available to answer any of your questions. There's a link in the chat for more information on fellowships. Then, of course, the third is accreditation. And this is for training programs to demonstrate that their training and education is at the international standard. We need to continue to meet the standards that are required for this great program. And then examinations. Really, the course of the reason we're all here today to ensure we understand, you're able to train, you're able to educate, you'll be able to pass the tests. Our goal is to be the best modern international exam in the world. We're designed for young ophthalmologists, as I said, and people in practice like all of those who are joining us today. There are three sections: visual science, optics, and clinical. And again, with our board, we've talked about these and we constantly update them to make sure that they're at the highest level. We strive for the highest standards in the question banks and grading. And this is very possible through our dedicated group of volunteers who are not only from the US and Europe, but from Latin America, Africa, India, and other parts of the world to show the cultural understanding and the sensitivities that's required. The modern aspects of the exams are that they are conducted through an online platform and results are therefore available within 2 weeks. 2 weeks of post-exam. That's fantastic. While the exams are based online, they're very secure. It will conducted via a computer software program, but also in person at the exam centers by the host. We successfully were able to secure host centers for all candidates for the March exam and are confident of the same in September. If a host center is not listed as available when you register, we will arrange one. Our exam is offered in partnership with regional and national societies, as well as partners like the Great Wills Eye Hospital with Julia Haller, and Wilmer Eye Institute in the US with Peter McDonald. Regionally, we are partnered with the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology in the Americas, the African Ophthalmology Council in Africa, and the Young Ophthalmology Society of India. Our standards are based on the American Academy's BCSC, the Basic and Clinical Science course. I can assure you we wish this and we will make this affordable. Our goal is not to make profits, but to meet the cost of the administration for the long-term sustainability. Before I turn it over to Nicola and her team to speak more about the technical aspects of the exam and registration process, I urge you to talk to your colleagues, to talk to your peers, to talk to everyone and make sure they understand what we're trying to accomplish here. We're here to help you. Our goal really is, as I said, to make sure we broaden the approach of training across this globe of ours. I want to thank you for your interest in the Ophthalmology Foundation, the exams, and we hope to continue to see you through your careers, perhaps as a fellow or at one of our faculty development sessions in the future. Thanks very much for your commitment. And now I'll turn it back to Christine.
Thank you, Jim, for that lovely introduction. As he said, we'll turn it over to Nicola to elaborate on, some key items to know. And apologies for these slides. I quickly introduced everyone earlier, and we will get to key items to know with Nicola.
Thank you, Christine. So fees, we'd like to inform you that our exam fees for the foundation are structured accordingly to the World Bank Index. This approach ensures that all our fees remain fair, affordable for candidates, and as Jim said, that we don't aim to make a profit from these. We aim to be able to cover our admin fees, and hopefully in the future, in a few years, we'll be able to also reduce them. We're not looking to make a profit. In fact, our fees are amongst the lowest compared to other leading ophthalmic exam providers. And we do adjust our fees according to the region, and we strive to make the exams accessible to a broad and diverse group of ophthalmologists worldwide. Our aim is to make sure that they are accessible to everyone. Thank you, Christine, for that slide.
Wonderful. All right, how about host centers?
Host centres. So as Jim also touched on, we have exam centres worldwide. And we, in March, we were able to accommodate every candidate that applied for the exams. If their centre wasn't available on application, we found them an exam centre. So therefore, if you're unable to find the exam centre you're looking for online in the country, or maybe there is one in your country, but actually not in your region, in your location, then you can go on and select other on the application form and then type in your desired location. We will do our best to accommodate you. And as Jim said, that we were successful in March, and we aim to be as successful again in September, that everyone had their exact location where they wanted. And if you have any questions regarding that before you do apply, then please send us an email. The emails are listed there, and one of us will be able to help you. And just a little example of that is that we've been working with the Turkish Ophthalmic Society recently, and there are a few trainees that have applied and are sitting outside Istanbul. And we now are able to accommodate them in Ankara, which is fantastic. So we've able to look at their location, find one that's closest, and in conjunction with the Turkish society, are able to accommodate them elsewhere. So that just means that it's low cost in travel, accommodation, and just more flexibility. So any questions about location, just let us know, and we will do our best to accommodate you.
Wonderful. And we have a travel grant available.
We do. The David and Molly Pyatt Travel Grant is $10,000, and that is awarded to the top passing candidate in clinical ophthalmology. And so what we do is we look at the top passing candidate for the March exam, and also we'll do the same for the September exam. And overall, we'll look at the top passing candidate for those exams out of the two, and then they will be awarded a travel grant. I'd just like to say that David and Molly Pyatt have kindly agreed to run this year on year. So if you do not take the clinical this year, because some are asking, do I need to take it in September? Can I take all three exams, visual optics and clinical, in September? Please don't worry. This wonderful grant is also available year on year. So you'll have that opportunity to take it, opportunity to be awarded it next year as well, and the year after.
Wonderful. And then in addition to the travel grant, there's the opportunity for a post-nominal.
Yeah, and your post-nominal is FIOF, which is the Fellow of the International Ophthalmology Foundation. And that's just successful candidates of the clinical ophthalmology exam. And this reflects your achievement, your professional standing in the field of ophthalmology. And I think it's amazing. You get a really nice certificate once you've achieved this. It's got signed by the president, Jim himself, and David Pyatt, I think it is, or it might be Louisa Mayer, sorry, who's chair of exams. It's got a hologram on, it's embossed, and it's just really nice quality. And we're seeing a lot of successful training candidates from this March exam. We've asked for some photos, and we've got some fantastic photos of them with their certificate that is now either on their desk or on their wall. So something to be really proud of.
Technical issues. I'll be right back with y'all.
The next slide was going to be which societies are we in collaboration with. If you could just divulge on that a little bit more, please.
Yeah, sure. So we're in constant contact with the Turkish Ophthalmic Society, Mongolian Ophthalmic Society had their meeting this week, and we're catching up with them later in the week. We're working with the COEXA, the Ophthalmology Society of Africa. We're working with the Young Ophthalmology Society of India, which is very exciting. They've got 4,000 members, and we're working closely with them. We're also in discussions with the AIOS, talking about our current exams and also subspecialty exams, and the PAAO, the Pan American. So lots of opportunity there, lots of collaboration, and exciting. And if anyone is interested in collaborating, or they know that of their society that is looking to collaborate, then we'd be very interested in having further discussions.
Wonderful. All right, so now we'll be moving into the most popular questions we received, through the registrations, just to make sure that they are all covered by everyone. And we're going to go back to Nicola as we have an absence today, so you'll be hearing a lot from her this session. Nicola, how can candidates best prepare for the exams?
So that's a really good question, and it's a question that comes up quite regularly, either through the webinar itself or through social media and email. And the Ophthalmology Foundation offers internationally recognised fellowship level exams, and they assess on competency based and map to the BCSE. And they expect to demonstrate a deeper clinical reasoning, evidence-based practice, and also some kind of subspecialty level knowledge. So we've mapped the questions to the BCSE. So the best advice we can give you is to get hold of a copy of that, and make sure that you actually read it, go through it, and look at the types of information that it's providing. And we do offer a syllabus and a blueprint on our website, which Carl Golnick, Head of Education, has put together. So it's good to make a list of topics and competencies expected from that, and highlight the high yield areas like surgical management, evidence-based guidelines, imaging interpretation, and common clinical pitfalls within that blueprint. Each exam covers like topic areas, for example. So it's good to go through the blueprint and work out how many questions in each of those sections. And I think that's available on our website. So for example, anatomy, physiology and pathology have maybe higher number of questions than possibly cataract. And again, they can be found on our website. And if you have any questions about those, then you can contact us. Obviously, I've taken over this question today from one of the specialists, but I was talking to them and I asked him, how did you plan and prepare for an exam? And he said actually he worked out a daily, weekly plan leading up to his exams. So that's working through the syllabus topic by topic, reading any correspondence from the BCSE chapters, making notes and coming back to those notes. Also taking a break. Don't pressurize yourself into, cramming everything in, and wearing yourself out. He said, take regular breaks, let your brain rest, he said, was a good tip, I thought, and then come back to it. I think it's also good as well to note that a lot of the questions are clinical practice. So it's things, we're not trying to catch you out. It's things that you're seeing on a regular basis in your everyday work. So it's good to note that there are lots of, in the clinical, for example, there are lots of photographs. And going forward, we may add some videos. As it's an online exam, we can do that. So it's good to note, and take note. If you see an interesting case in your normal day practice, take a photo, and read up on it, because that's the kind of stuff that we are including in our exams. I think also as well, Nat Knox Cartwright, who was going to speak today and unfortunately couldn't make it, said set yourself a timetable. You know when the exam is, that it's the 24th of September, next year, the 26th of March. And he said, set yourself a 6-week timetable. So that obviously you're practicing medics. And so set yourself time around that and make sure that you give yourself enough quality time to do it. He also said go out with your family and have a chat about something completely different other than ophthalmology, because what that does is that relaxes you and makes you feel comfortable in your learning practice. I also think that, if you've got any questions or worries or concerns, I think, as we've said before, we're here to support you. We like to see it as a family, and we're guiding you through each step. So if you do have a question about something that you're not sure about, again, how many questions in each section, or you need some guidance, we've got lots of ophthalmologists in our exams committee that could, I'm sure, give you some guidance on how to prepare. So yeah, that's, I think, how you should prepare for your exam.
Great, thank you. And what is the structure of the examination? Is there any negative marking?
No, great news, no negative marking. So all questions are single best answer. So that's one correct, most appropriate choice out of several options. No negative marking. They're visual and scenario-based questions. As I said, clinical sciences, clinical ophthalmology exam has lots of photographs. And as going forward, we will be adding videos. Visual questions, there are 120 questions in that exam. Optics and refraction is 60 questions, and clinical are 160 questions. So the whole process is 340 questions, all single best answer. And just going back to, you know, what that means for your preparation, you must practice single best answer logic questions. So when you're in the exam or when you're practicing, you need to read the stem really carefully, look for keywords, exclusions. And the best thing to do, I believe, is eliminate clearly wrong options. You know, there's going to be those ones that you know instantly that you can just, you know, cross out, which then takes you down to the most, hopefully most correct and most appropriate. We're not here to test your language. So if your first language is not English, we're not testing English. So you'll read through the questions, you'll actually see a lot of the exam structure themselves are quite repetitive. So we tend to use regarding glaucoma, for example, which one of the following is most likely to be true? And you'll see that question on question. As I say, we're not testing your English language, we're testing purely your knowledge. I think a lot of the questions I think you can prepare for, as I said, by practicing and reading VSC. The plan and structure for that is on there. I think you need to budget yourself probably. I think we said 75 to 90 seconds on average per question. If you get stuck, then move on, because I believe that you can come back to that question and always answer. The best form of advice is always answer the question. As there's no negative marking, if you answer incorrectly, that's not going to be taken away from you. If you have a guess, then you've got 1 in 4 chance, 25% of getting it correct. And whilst that's not ideal, you should know your stuff, which I'm sure you will. I think it's best not to pass on any question.
Wonderful, thank you. All right. Is it mandatory for all candidates to sit for all stages of the exams?
No, so we do offer an exemption policy. And what that means is, as we said, we've had visual sciences, optics and refraction, and clinical ophthalmology, but we offer exemptions from our visual and optics. So, for example, if you have been successful in the ICO exams or the COEXA exams, visual and optics, then we will exempt you from the Ophthalmology Foundation visual and optics, and you could move directly onto our clinical exam. The ICO we recognise up to and including 2022, but anything after that. So if you've happened to taken the exam with the ICO this year, unfortunately that is not recognised. We also recognise the Royal College of Surgeons of the UK, the Royal College of Edinburgh and Glasgow, their parts A and part B, exemption from the visual and optics of our exam. And what that enables you to do is move directly onto our clinical exam. We're not looking to, as we said, make money out of this. So we're not asking you to repeat those exams that you have clear knowledge in. And so therefore, that is why we've looked at exemption policy. If you have taken an exam which you deem to be equivalent, then obviously please email us and we will look into that. But at the moment, those are the exams that we're holding exemptions with, and they are listed on our website pages.
Thank you. And so after all this, what is the application process?
Thanks, Christine. Application process is really easy. It's online. It's a click of a button via our website, and that will take you to an online portal where we will ask you to create a profile. Once you've set up a profile on our system, you will be able to apply for the exam, and you'll be able to upload your photo, upload your documents of supporting documents of the exams that you have passed, if you're applying directly for clinical, for example, your address, and also select your exam centre. As again, if your exam centre is not present, then please select other and type where you'd like to take the exam. And what that does is that sends us a notification. We pick that up on a daily basis and we will write to you. We will either respond by automatically accepting your application, and you'll be slotted into your chosen exam centre, or if there's a query. For example, you've selected other and want to take the exam in a remote location, then we'll start liaising with you on how best to set that up. If we're looking for more supporting documents, then we'll write to you as well. Payment can be made through the same system, and we ask that you make payment as soon as possible, because if you're pending payment, then you're actually not entered for that exam. And places are limited in certain areas. And that means that if your payment is pending, you're not guaranteed a place. So please make payment as soon as possible. If there's no availability in a centre, and currently we're full capacity in some of our centres, then again, please select other and type where you'd like to take the exam, and we'll organise for you to be accommodated. Payment can be done by credit card or debit card. If you're finding that difficult, then we can send you the bank details and you can make direct payment into that. And we also offer sponsored places. So if you do have a sponsor for your examination, fantastic news. And you can go through there and add your sponsor details in, and we will then liaise with your sponsor regarding payment. If you're pending payment or you have a query, you will be sent automatic updates and requests for payment on a weekly basis. So I apologise if you're receiving those and you have made payment. Sometimes there's a slight lapse in the system. So I apologise for that. But everything through this portal can be done. Everything you need to do can be done through this portal. And that portal will go with you throughout the system, throughout the process, exams process, from applying for visual to optics, and in the future, maybe subspecialty.
Great, thank you. And I'm going to hand it over to Vicky for the next question. Is there a suggested reading list, and where can this be found?
Yes, so we do have a suggested reading list on the website. It's like a little booklet of all the journals, textbooks, all the material that you're going to need to pass the examination. If you want it by PDF, you can also email us and we can send you a PDF copy, but you can find it on the website in the examinations tab.
Wonderful, thank you. And then now I'm going to hand it off to Rosie about our social media. Where are we found?
Thank you, Christine. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, as well as YouTube, where the recording of this meeting will be posted in the next couple of days. We post all important dates and updates on our social media platforms, and then you can also message us directly there with any queries that you may have. Later in the webinar, we will be sharing an image on your screen with all of our social media handles and contact information, so you can find us there. But don't worry if you miss it, I will also send an email after the webinar is over with all of our places that you can find us.
Great, thank you. And then what if a candidate cannot find their country listed on the website?
So Nicola kind of touched on this a minute ago, but when you are making your application, you can just select other if you can't find your country in the list span box, and then you can type where you want to take the examination. Our team will then receive a notification that you are looking for an exam centre in that location, and we will do what we can to accommodate your request and find you an exam centre there.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And then we're going to switch gears a little bit and speak with Cordula about fellowships and their link to the exams. Cordula, how can someone apply for an IOFF fellowship?
Thank you, Christine. Hello to everybody. So for the EOFF Ophthalmology Foundation Subspecialty Fellowship Program, it's pretty easy to subscribe. Actually, available on the program is information on the program is available on www.ioff.org. Also there you'll find a link to an online portal where you can include all your personal information, and it will give you the possibility to upload the requested documents, which are a scan of your passport, a picture, 2 recommendation letters, a specialist degree, and the ophthalmology examination certificates, if available. Also, you will find some answers regarding, you'll find some questions regarding your motivation, your expectation, and the impacts that you wish to gain from attending the program. Please be aware that this is very important. It's kind of the, it's kind of the clue to the success of your application, because our program does not offer a curriculum, it does not offer a degree, but it offers finding answers to your recurrent questions in your subspecialty that you face every day. We consider the ophthalmology examinations in our scoring, and Once we have determined your eligibility, you will get access to our host network, and you can choose and count your favorite host there. The host will most likely invite you for a short interview and will then decide about your training request, and you can agree on your preferred duration for your fellowship program. And then you will fill in the host notice of acceptance form. And once the host notice of acceptance form is duly signed and submitted to us, we will process your application file for experts review and funding decision. We have 2 application deadlines a year, that is July 31st and January 31st, 2026. And we very much look forward to receiving your applications, and we hope to be able to help you through the process and to help you gain one of our fellowships.
Wonderful.
When
Thank
should
you. Oh, go ahead.
When should you start preparing? We suggest that you start preparing like 3 to 4 months prior to closing of the application deadlines, and you should plan about 1 to 1.5 years in advance. Remember, this also allows you enough time to consider taking the Ophthalmology Foundation exams, which really raises your chances to win an award. And it is a good time to start considering your interests in the last year of your residency and what you really wish to focus on in your subspecialty. So that makes a lot of sense. Yes. Okay. Next, please.
Unfortunately, sorry, just to say that we have had 2 successful candidates from exams that have been awarded fellowships recently.
Yes. Yes, we had. This was Dr. Dutt from Pakistan, and it was Dr. Abdullahi from Nigeria. And we are very happy that they were successful in the Ophthalmology Foundation exams, and they really raised their chances of getting a fellowship award from us, and they succeeded. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's great to hear. So again, we're mainly here for exams. So for candidates who pass the exams, how does that help their fellowships application?
So we consider the Ophthalmology Foundation exams in our application process, and we give 37 points for the whole formal part of the application. And out of these 37 points, we give 2 points for a visual sciences exam, another 2 points for optics, refraction, and instruments, and another 2 points for the clinical ophthalmology examination. And if you have done these examinations with merit or distinctions, then this will be another 2 points. So it really makes a lot of sense to pass the Ophthalmology Foundation exams, because we give up to 8 out of 37 points for sitting the exams. That really makes a difference, I can tell you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're
All
welcome.
right. So that was, kind of the core of the common questions that we get. So now we will be moving to the questions we've received during this session that we may have not addressed quite yet. Vicki, is there anything that's come through that we need to pass on to our panelists?
Yes, so we have a question regarding the BCSC. Considering there is a new version of BCSC every year, which version do you advise they read?
So ideally, you'd like to be reading the most current, or at least the year previous to the exam. The core of ophthalmology, which is what our exams are mostly based on, is the same year on year. It very rarely changes. So if you do have an older version, I wouldn't panic too much. I would, however, look at our mapping our syllabus mapping on our website so that you can refer to the correct sections within that document and within those books. But as I say, if you've got the most recent version, that's fantastic. But if you haven't, then the one that you have is more than enough.
Great, thank you. Was there anything else that came up, Vicky?
Yes, so another one is applying for a fellowship possible after passing an optics exam, or is it the clinical exam mandatory? So do the candidates have to pass clinical to apply for a fellowship?
No, actually, passing the Ophthalmology Foundation exams is not mandatory, but we strongly recommend it, and we credit your efforts with 8 out of 37 points in our assessment.
Thank you.
So you need not take them, but we recommend it.
I've got a question coming through in relation to that on social media, and it says if they're exempt from our visual and optics, but they take our clinical, are they awarded points for the other exams that have exempted them?
And this is towards a fellowship application.
Yeah, sorry,
Could you
yeah,
say
it's
it
in
again,
relation to.
Nicola, please? Nicola, could
So
you
they're
say that again?
asking if they're exempt from our visual and optics and can move directly onto our clinical, are they awarded points for the exams that they passed, that's exempted them from our visual and optics? And if so, how many points are those? Is there a difference?
So in this case, we would actually give 2 points for the visual sciences, 2 points for the optics refraction, and 2 points for the clinical, as it is important for us that you have the knowledge and that you can prove the knowledge, and not that you are kind of being punished because you didn't take because you were exempted from the first ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question. It says, if I pass the exams, what is the next step I should be doing? And since the Ophthalmology Foundation has an association with Will's Eye and Wilmer's Institute, are there chances of getting a fellowship with them?
That's a great question. We are affiliated with them, but they have accepted our exams as a standard. With regards to fellowships, it doesn't directly guarantee you a fellowship with them, and you would have to contact them and go through follow their process for fellowship application. Good question is what to do after the exams with the Ophthalmology Foundation. And we are looking at introducing subspecialty exams going forward. And that's something we hope to have in place by the end of 2026. So if you're looking to subspecialize, we would cover the main core subjects like glaucoma, uveitis, orbits, craniofacial, etc., retina. So you may like to take one of those exams, and then if successful, you would be you'd have your post-nominal FIOF and then brackets cornea, for example. So we're looking at introducing them. I just think it's important to say that these exams are internationally recognised, and the word is spreading. They're growing in depth and numbers. So it's good for you as an individual to be able to mark the standard and the level that you're practicing at and working at, and also institutions, it's good for them to use to benchmark their candidates against an international standard. So there are other ways that you can use these examinations. Going forward, I think some countries have discussed that they use it as part of their own system. So it may be that you take these and pass these exams and then go back into your local system and then move on through that pathway. It's good to note as well that we're also in discussions with some of the UK colleges, for Glasgow, for example. So we hope to have reciprocity with them in the future.
Thank you. Somebody has asked, what is the benefit of being a YOSI member in the final application payment?
Yes, we have a good collaboration with the Young Ophthalmology Society of India. We have an agreement that we will try to reduce the payment for the exams based on the number of applicants that come through the society. So I would recommend, if you want slightly lower fees for the exams or money off of your application for your membership from with the society, that you encourage your colleagues, your friends, to take the Ophthalmology Foundation exams. So the higher the number that we receive through that system, then we hope to be able to reduce your fee slightly. And you'll find that out. I mean, one we need to work out the process is at the moment is when the application process closes and we can collate numbers on how many have passed or how many have applied through that system, through the society, then we'll be able to award the relevant discount.
Thank you. Another question is, who is eligible for the examinations? Can an optometrist apply?
Unfortunately not. We're really sorry. We don't offer exams for anyone other than an ophthalmologist. So we recommend that you have to be a doctor. We recommend that you are in residency program for ophthalmology. And a recommendation, but not a necessity, is that you take the visual and optics in your second year of training, and then the clinical ophthalmology in your third, fourth year of training. But it does depend on how confident you are. If you're really confident and want to take clinical once you pass visual and optics in your second, third year, then please feel free. We're only recommending, from experience. A lot of questions come through. Can I take all 3 exams in one day? I've been working in ophthalmology international exams for the last 15, 20 years. I'm showing my age, but from experience, if you take all 3, there is a much lower pass rate than those that concentrate on just 1 or 2 exams. And a lot of candidates choose to take visual and optics together, and then clinical subsequent to that. And if you are unfortunately unsuccessful in one of those exams, you could potentially take optics, for example, along with clinical in your next sitting. We would just hold back your clinical certificate if you were unsuccessful in the optics, for example. So just to take note of that.
Thank you. Post nominal and the standard of our depth of knowledge recognised highly. Is there any of the benefits of taking these exams?
Is there any benefits to taking these exams? Sorry, you cut out. Is that what you said?
Yes. Are the benefits of taking the exams, apart from increasing their knowledge and getting the post nominal FIOF, what is the benefit?
As I said, they're internationally recognised. You can benchmark yourself against your colleagues and your friends internationally, so that you know where you're sitting. Your institution, if an institution is on here, is interested, you can benchmark your trainees against an international standard. It also helps when you're interviewing for positions of a senior position. If someone's passed the Ophthalmology Foundation exam and another applicant hasn't, you're more likely to lean towards the person that has passed this international exam. They're low cost. We try, as we said, and aim to keep our fees as low as possible based on the World Bank Index. And our aim is not to make a profit, but to reduce your fees as low as possible. We want everyone to be able to access these. They're online, they're AI proctored. It means we're flexible in our approach and where you can take the exam, so they're easily accessible. And there also is a human proctor available as well. They're low cost compared to other international exams available. You're awarded fellowship points, as we've discussed, and also the David and Molly Pyatt Award for the top passing clinical candidate in the year is also available. It's $10,000, which is absolutely amazing. We are working on reciprocity, as we've mentioned. So hopefully going forward, you'll be exempt from other examinations, which would be highly desirable, as you won't have to travel, and you'll be able to take these exams in your own location and get equivalent status. I think there's lots of benefits from it. I think it's exciting, and I think this is an exceptionally high standard. We have an international committee, an international board, international question writers, international standard setters. So it's very much an international exam. I just want to mention as well, we do translate the exam into several languages, and we offer French, Chinese, Portuguese, Spanish, and we're looking at offering Vietnamese as well if requested. So if you are not confident in English, please still apply for these exams. You'll be able to, on the screen, click a button, just a simple click, and it converts it into the language that you're selecting. So no disadvantage of doing that. So I think it just helps and it supports. And if your English is not your first language and you're not as confident, then you can convert, which I think is also a massive benefit. And also, I don't believe now that any other international ophthalmic exam is offering translation.
Yeah. We have another question. So how many times can a candidate present for the exam if they fail the first time? Is there
Let's
a
be
cut-off
confident.
before
You're
you
not
say no
going to
more?
fail. You're going to pass. Have confidence in yourself, prepare properly, and I'm sure you'll be successful. But there are no limits on any number of times that you can take the exam. So I think, prepare well, and be positive, would be my outlook, and hopefully you'll achieve the score. We use an Angoff method style of standard setting, which means we look at the minimal passing candidate. Would you get that question correct? And that's with an international pool of standard setters. And what that does is that gives us a cut score. And if you achieve that score, then you're successful. And unfortunately, if you don't meet it, then not unsuccessful. But it does mean that everyone that takes the cohort of candidates that take that exam, everyone could pass, everyone could fail. We aim for about 48, 52% of a pass rate. But yeah, I think just prepare well, but you can take it as many times as you like. I did have a few candidates before retake the exam, even though they were successful, because they wanted to achieve certain goals and sort of certain parameters, and the local institute had set a level themselves that they wanted their candidates to pass. And so even though they were successful with us the first time round, they didn't quite meet the requirement of the pass mark set by their institution. So they actually resat, even though they were successful.
Thank you.
It's also used for revalidation as well. I think, we're looking at a lot of trainees, and the word we're using a lot is trainees coming through our system. But actually, you could be, at the top of your game professor and want to take this exam. And in certain countries, we're finding that senior ophthalmologists who have qualified are taking this exam, one, to encourage their trainees to take it and say, look, this is really good. This is a great level. I can do it. You can do it. So I think that's also important to note, that it's not just for trainees. It could be for you as a trainer, who just wants to test their knowledge and have some revalidation.
Thank you. We have a question coming from social media, from our Instagram. I recently passed optics exam. Can I write visual and clinical ophthalmology at the same time?
Yes, you can. It's a long time of exams to sit down. It's 3 hours for the visual, 4 hours for the clinical. That's 7 hours. Would we recommend it? It depends on it depends on the individual, really. I think it depends on how you feel. If you're happy to sit there for 7 hours, with half an hour break in between, I think that's possible. If that is something you'd like to do, we would have to check with the centre, as well, to make sure that they're able to accommodate that 7 hours. But yeah, I think it's doable. Again, depends on how you feel and the individual.
Thank you. I believe this is one for Cordula, Christine. Would candidate who has the post-nominal FIOF have more chance of gaining a fellowship than without? Would you favour them?
Actually, if somebody has taken the FIOF post-nominal, that means that he or she has taken the clinical ophthalmology foundation examination, which means that we give up to that we give 6 points extra in our assessment, and in case of a merit, it will be 8 points. So it is not mandatory, but we strongly recommend it because it really raises your chances of getting the award.
Thank you. Another fellowship question. Can I reapply for the fellowship after I take the OF examinations if I was initially unsuccessful?
Yes, you should allow yourself 1 or 2 years and then apply again with these new parameters, like the ophthalmology foundation examinations. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Then we had another question on language. I chose English as my second language during the examination registration. Can I change it to French? And if so, how?
Yes, by all means, please drop us an email and we will make sure that it's changed to French. And then once you log on to the online portal on exam day, you'll see a button in the left-hand corner, I think it is, where you can click and it will change the question from English to French and then back and forth depending on which language you prefer. But I think if English again is not your first language, then I think having that option for the translation just to help you make sure that you feel confident enough within the exam, then I think that's a really good idea. We're not testing English language and English competency, we're testing your knowledge.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. When's the time to apply for the examinations, during their residency or post-training?
Again, we recommend that you take the visual and optics in your first, second year of training, residency, and then clinical in your third, fourth year. But again, depends on the individual. If you're feeling confident, then you can apply for the exams early. And if you want more time to prepare, then obviously you can take them at a later stage. Postgrad, post ophthalmology training, you can also apply for revalidation. Lots of people do different regions like post-nominals as well. So it's nice to be able to say that you've passed an international exam and have that certificate. So I just, again, depends on how you feel and when you feel ready to take it. I'd advise you not to rush, to prepare. I know we've got an exam coming up in September and lots of you are applying and we're encouraging you to apply. But if you feel that you need more time to prepare, you need to put this in place and you've got work and family, etc., then the application process for March exams open on the 1st of October. When to apply, as in logistically, because places are limited in certain centres, I would advise you to apply and pay as soon as possible when the application process opens to guarantee your place. And then I think mentally, you know that you're taking that exam and mentally you can start to prepare.
Yeah. 2 more questions we have, if that's okay, Christine. Do we have the time?
Yes, I think we do.
Thank you. How do we know that the results are precise?
So the results are 100% precise. They are done through an online system. We upload the results from a program onto the system, and then your answers are mapped to the key that's in the system. If you had a query, we're happy to remark, but it would be marked again by the system. And that system is checked on average about 20 times. So it's secure, it gives the exact results. So there's no discrepancy within that. And we're 100% confident that's correct.
Thank you. Last one. Is it better to give visual and optics together? Is it a good idea?
Is it a good idea? Again, depends on your confidence levels. I think a lot of trainees don't necessarily study optics and refraction as part of their residency program. So it may be slightly more difficult. And I think if that is the case and you're trying to focus on optics and refraction to make sure you're up to scratch, then you may lose your sight of what you should be studying for visual if you're concentrating on the lesser of the one that's taught in your institution. I believe it's down to the individual. And I would say that the majority of trainees take visual and optics together. And I think there's no negative benefit of taking both. If you're unsuccessful in one of those and you sit both on the same day, you will be awarded the certificate in the one that you have been successful in. They're not linked to each other. So if you don't achieve in optics, you can still pass in visual and vice versa. So I think if you take them on the same day, then you have a chance of moving through the process quicker. But other than that, again, it's up to you.
And we are all out of questions, Christine. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm glad that we were able to get to them in time.
Thank
So
you,
we'll
Nicola.
start wrapping
Thanks,
up. As promised, please connect with us on socials. There's QR codes here for all of our channels. These will also be circulated to all registrants after the webinar as well. So pull out your phones or make a note. Whatever you use, we are there. So please join us. And, that's another avenue to drop us questions if you'd rather connect via messaging on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn instead of email. We can get you there. And then here are emails. Please reach out with any questions. We try to keep as much relevant information on our website as possible to make things easy to reference. Email us at info@ophthalmologyfoundation.org for any general questions, and the exams team, exams@ophthalmologyfoundation.org, or specific folks if you have questions. And then for fellowships, you can email us at fellowships@ophthalmologyfoundation.org, and we will make sure Cordula gets those messages as well so that she can attend to them. And let's see, thank you. So just a reminder, the application process for the September exam is still open. It closes at the end of this month. The exam is on the 24th of September, and the next one will be in March, and registration for that opens in October. So for right now, please think about September, and we wish you success. Please reach out again if questions come up or difficulties in registering. We're all here to help you, and we thank you for joining us. Nicola, do you have any final comments?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone for participating and also for the panel. Just one quick thing, we do have another webinar in conjunction with the YOSI, and that is on the 24th. Yeah, thank you. 24th of this month. So if you'd like to join that, please look out for the details on our website. And if you've got any other questions that you want to direct through there, then please feel free. Please pass that on to your friends and colleagues. And again, please reach out to any of us, and we'll be happy to help.
Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us today. And a link to this will be circulated afterwards for your review and to forward to your friends and colleagues.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.